15. Almost there. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Know Your Therapy show, brought to you by the men's radio station and the women's radio station, and presented by me, Bernadette Bruckner of CounsellorsNow.com. During the shows and over the coming months, I will be interviewing a variety of counsellors and therapists across the spectrum of counselling. We will look at different methodologies used by counsellors, and we'll be asking the counsellors questions to help you, our listeners, understand their practices, qualifications and specialisms, what they do, why it works, and so much more, getting into the heart of information that will help you understand the difference between all the different kinds of therapy out there. Here at the men's and women's radio stations, we want you to help make the best choices if you or someone you know needs help in some small way. At the end of the show, you'll be able to find the details of our guests at www.mensradiostation.com. In just a few moments, I will be welcoming onto the show today's guest. Today's show is all about intuitive energy healing, and my guest is Karen Goodson. Karen considers herself an intuitive energy healer, spiritual counsellor, and a coach. For about 25 years, Karen has been working in the world of counselling. She started out with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and then studied hypnopsychotherapy. But about 8 years ago, something must have changed for Karen, because she then started to train as a spiritual counsellor, a soul transformation therapist, a soul plan reader, and I think you pronounced this Chai Kung Shibashi teacher. She deals with therapists and people from all walks of life. And Karen, are you there?
I'm here, yeah, sorry.
Hi there. Welcome
Yeah, hi.
to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
You're very, very welcome. Well, this is definitely going to be a very interesting show today, because we're going to be talking about energy healing, Karen.
Yes.
And energy is such a big word, isn't it? I mean, that can cover so many things. So let's kick off with you telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll work through what energy healing is all about.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
I think you should start, say, maybe back at the beginning, how your life's journey took you into counselling from all those years ago, and then why the big change about 8 years ago, Karen.
Oh, goodness me. Okay. So I'm 60 now, so we're going to be covering 40 odd years, but I'll do that very briefly. So
okay.
I started off working in financial services, and came out of that because I had a big problem with the change of politics in the 80s, and moved into social care and began running residential care homes. And that led me to, kind of drew me into healing, coaching, therapy type work. And I knew somebody who was working with Richard Bandler, who was one of the co-creators of neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay.
And got persuaded to go along to a 2-week introduction. And I loved it, but I felt ill-equipped to practice as a therapist just with that. So yeah. I then went on to do hypnotherapy and psychotherapy.
Okay. What is neuro-linguistic programming?
It's a modality that uses the language patterns that we use, so we can retrain our brain and change our thoughts, beliefs and behaviours based on how we word things. It's I think some people look at it as kind of cognitive behavioural therapy, but with a bit of hypnosis in there. That's a long time ago now. So do you want to ask any more about NLP or
No,
No.
because I know that is a very specific kind of counselling, and today we're going to focus on what your strengths are today, and what it is that you do today. It was just that the words were up there, neuro-linguistic programming, and I
Yeah.
thought, now it is. Let's explain to the listeners what it is, so that people are always understanding where the show is going, and what it is you've done. And then you did a little bit of hypnopsychotherapy.
I did, because NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, uses hypnosis through language patterning, and I felt really the NLP training doesn't equip you enough. That was my opinion.
Okay.
To really delve deeply into people's psyche, and that's why I wanted to make sure I had some robust underpinning theory, and that has been a very good foundation for me.
Excellent.
And then,
as you go through things, you add to your skills, don't you, over the years?
you do, yes. And so what I found was, so eight years ago, my brother died, and he died by suicide, and that was such a shock to me.
Sorry to hear that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And none of the mainstream therapies could help me just understand what on earth was going on. And I found the Holistic Healing College, run by Blue Marsden in London, and there's a course, the spiritual counselling course, really drew me. And so I spent, probably 6 years going through various spiritual trainings, spiritual counselling, soul transformation, soul plan reading, many different ways of working with the spirit, and developing my own intuition. Now, I'm at the point now where everything I do is led by my own intuition. So, which is why I call the way I work now intuitive energy healing.
Okay, that explains that.
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So my sense now is that everything is energy. It's just energy vibrating at a different rate that gives it different form. So, like sound waves are energy, light waves are energy. Our bodies, we are energy. Everything, the table, the chair, the bed, the cup, everything is a form of energy. And when you start looking at things in this way, it helps to understand what happens to our energy fields when we're in a state of distress, when we're just how things change depending on our emotional state of being. Does that make sense?
It does. So is that similar to, as you said there, you had a very traumatic experience when your brother passed on, and you just didn't know what on earth was happening. You said that it was like the world changed for you and nothing seemed to help, so you gravitated towards spiritual counselling.
Yeah. So what was happening when he died was, I was experiencing strange sounds, feeling things that I didn't recognize in terms of spirit.
Right.
And his friends were trying to explain to me that he was communicating to me in the only way that I understood at that time, because I wasn't open to anything beyond the 3D that I could see in front of me. So what would happen was my car alarm would randomly go off, and using the controls on my car wouldn't switch it off. Yet when one of his friends laid a hand on the car, they could stop it and they could calm it down. And it made me want to explore the whole world of beyond what is presented in front of us.
So there was obviously a series of random events that you could have dismissed as just being, coincidence or your mind playing tricks on you.
I tried really hard, yes.
Did you?
Really, really hard to ignore it, yes.
Did you? And was it frightening, Karen? Did you find that frightening?
Yes.
You did? To not understand what some of the messages were. Like, if this was your first introduction to reaching out into the spirit world or spirit energies that might have been sent back from your brother, was that terrifying?
Yes, absolutely terrifying. And I feel very blessed that his friends were able to translate, I suppose, the energies for me, so that I could eventually learn to connect with him myself.
Okay, so it was kind of like you went through a stage of recognizing that you shouldn't just put these down to coincidence. There might be something more there.
Yes. Yeah. I tried so hard to ignore it, but there comes a point when you have to accept, or I had to accept that what I had to accept was that I had the ability to connect intuitively with spirit or the energy of all that is. And, I'd spent decades avoiding, denying that. So it's a bit of extreme for him to die. And I wish he hadn't, but it was the biggest lesson I've ever had.
In what, Karen? A lesson
in trusting my own intuition, trusting myself, trusting what I knew.
Because I can imagine that, excuse me, generally out there, people listening in would probably, some people will probably say, oh, energy healing and dealing with spirits and souls that have passed on, it's got a bad rap as possibly being something that's a bit airy-fairy and can't be proved. But yes. It isn't about proving it, is it? Because it's down to every individual to understand the feelings that they're coming up with and to do something about those feelings if they wish to. But I think you'd have to be very brave to embrace it.
I think it requires trust in yourself. I'm a massive advocate for people being in their own power and not giving their power to anyone else. I can't bear this idea of the guru, of me being the expert in something. The way I work is I will share some techniques with you for you to use yourself and see if it works for you, helps you connect to your own intuition.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out, when would somebody start to reach out to somebody like you? Would they have been to a doctor? Would it be just something that they would naturally gravitate towards if that's what they were into? What would be the red flags for people that actually what's going on around me isn't normal and I need to pay attention, or should I pay attention?
I think we need to differentiate between there's this whole world of spiritual teachings that or magic that can be frightening and can be manipulated. That's not my realm at all. My realm is very much about helping you work out what's going on with your own energy. So the people who come to me are people who've maybe had decades of counselling, tried all the therapies there are, or the mainstream therapies, and it's almost like trying the spiritual counselling route is the last resort. They've tried everything, and then I connect with them, we connect with each other, and we can see what's going on with their energy. So what happens is the work I do complements what other therapists do, is not instead of.
Right. Okay.
And so say you've had deep trauma and you have therapy over the years. The therapy helps you understand why perhaps you experienced the trauma, and it helps you understand the traumatic response that you're reliving, potentially, if it's PTSD or complex PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder. But even though you've understood what's been going on for you, sometimes there's this kind of energetic debris left hanging around you.
Okay.
Does that, so it, you're still feeling that something's not quite right, and you're sort of lugging this weight around you, and it doesn't make any sense, and you've tried everything to get rid of it.
That thing that you can't put your finger on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's when we look at what's been going on, and we can see, yep, your energy field, you've got loads of kind of, a friend calls it energetic shrapnel. Now that's quite a nice word for it. It's stuff that you don't need to be carting around anymore. So let's get rid of it.
Okay. So Karen, when a person reaches out to you at first, what happens? What's the beginning of their journey with you? How do you, get the subject going, and what can they expect, maybe within the first hour of meeting you?
I will ask them what their experience is right now. So what has brought you to this point in your life? How is whatever's going on for you, how is it presenting? So is it a pain? Is it emotional distress? How is it manifesting? Then quite often people only need one session to start with.
Okay.
So it's not a repeat. You wouldn't be signing up for necessarily for 6 sessions or something. But I'll teach them to tune into their own body and to scan through and to see what's going on. So, for example, somebody, if they've got a pain in their the back of their left shoulder, I'll get them to tune into that. What does it look like? Does it look like a piece of metal, or is it wood? Does it look like a dagger?
So try to get them to visualize the pain.
Yes. Yeah. Or it doesn't have to be visual. What does it feel like?
Okay.
So whatever sense is the dominant one for that person. And then, okay, so we can see that there's this dagger in your back. Now you can look at that metaphorically as people are stabbing you in the back. Is that your experience right now? And is this an ongoing thing, or is this sort of a one-off from many years ago? What can we do to, if we're looking at it as this dagger, let's pull the dagger out. Can you do it yourself? Do you need me to do it? And we pull the dagger out, and we will bring in, it might be a certain color light energy to heal the wound, or it might be a sound vibration. So we use that person's imagination and power of visualization to clear that wound. And it's amazing that clearing that out of the way can have such a physical effect, but it does.
It does. And would that effect be fairly instant for them, or does it take them time to accept and realize that has been dealt with?
It's very individual. So, and depends on your belief system. The power of the mind is incredible. If you believe something, then you can make it happen. We create, many say that we create our own reality. And it depends if we have identified the original cause. of it. So shall I give you an example of pain that I was experiencing?
Yes, please. I was just going to
Yeah.
say to you, actually, what do people experience during the healing process, and what kind of pains can we be talking about here?
Okay, so my experience was, for 50 years I had terrible pain in my hips. The only time I wasn't in pain was when I was pregnant, and when your ligaments loosen up. That was the only time I wasn't in pain. And then when I was going through learning all these different therapies, the spiritually based ones, I came across theta healing. And while we were training in that, my partner could see, in using her power of visualization, that there was a ball and chain around my hips. So
Okay.
that is how the energy that was around my hips presented to her. And then the trainer said, so that could be many lifetimes ago you took a vow of slavery, and this is the ball and chain that you've been dragging around with you ever since then, energetically. So after I think, really? That can explain the pain in the hips. But during the healing, where we visualized the chain being cut and taken off, it was pretty much instant relief. And even now, it's hard to believe that I had all those years of pain, and it came down to this vow of slavery. Now, that may sound completely mad, but how that vow can also manifest is in day-to-day life. I used to find myself in situations where, in work, I could never surpass the skill base or position of the boss. So it was like there was, the glass ceiling idea. There was always a point that was stop. There's no way you must surpass your master. So that's one way it manifested, as well as the pain.
So it's like things from a past life carried forward into this life, and whilst in this life you didn't physically have, obviously, chains around your waist, but the memory, the latent memory of that was there subconsciously.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, in my energy field.
So
It's like the vow of slavery is a contract or a promise we make. So energetically, you cancel that contract, break the promise, or consider it complete, and then that energy ceases to exist in your field.
Okay. So mentally getting rid of that obviously helped relieve your pain.
Yes.
Okay. And is there any common denominators that that you could say people come to you with when they're looking for help with moving on from that place that they're in, where they can't quite put their finger on what's wrong?
Yeah. The common denominator is power and misuse of power. So invariably there's an imbalance in somebody's life, whether they're in a relationship where the other partner has all the power, and it's very difficult to assert themselves.
Okay, when you're talking about here, about power here, you're talking about the other person kind of having control over what your client might be thinking or feeling, as opposed to.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So say the narcissist empath relationship. There's often a history of misuse of power from childhood. Many people, not many, a lot of people have had experience of child abuse, and memories may be popping up now. That's what happened with my brother, and that was his trigger. So when we've had these misuse of power in our lives, it creates the situation where the pattern repeats unless we can do something about it. So we can go through all sorts of cognitive behavior therapy, learn assertiveness. We can do psychotherapy to do a deep dive into why we're unable to stand up for ourselves. And then we find and that's all sorted, but there can still be the energetic issue that we need to clear.
What does it ever present itself? Is it something people can see, Karen? This energy. I mean, does it magnify itself in anything that, for those of us that have never experienced energy healing?
So what it can look like, if you. So somebody messaged me over the weekend, and this is what she said: I had a headache. I felt zonked out, invaded, and not myself at all. And she couldn't understand what was happening to her and needed help to clear it. So we, and other people feel like they're carrying a heavy weight around with them.
Right.
Some people feel emotions that don't feel like they're theirs. So you can, most people have had this experience, I should imagine, of walking through a supermarket before social distancing and feeling something that isn't the way they would normally feel. And it can be that you've picked up the energy of how that person is feeling, and unless you're aware of it, you suddenly take it on as your own.
Yes, I think a lot of people can identify with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that happens. Well, it does happen to all of us, and we need to learn how to cleanse our energy and clear all that stuff that's not ours, and then learn how to set our boundaries, or how to respect our space so that nobody else's energies can come in.
Okay. And I suppose when you use the word energy there, you're not really talking about power or strength. We're mostly talking about, is it like adopting somebody else's feelings, or is this energy, these negative energies, coming from a different place? Can they be influenced by other people that might want to harm you?
Yes. Yeah. So if you think, if you're having an argument with somebody and we throw words at each other without realizing the power they have.
Yes.
And then we promise ourselves never to do whatever it was that triggered them in that. And when we make that kind of promise, we're effectively taking a vow to not do that ever again. So say you're arguing with a partner and you're arguing about something. Say for example, one of you wants children and the other doesn't.
All right.
And you're having a debate about it, and all of a sudden the energy changes and it becomes more intense, and you're aware that there's a hidden agenda for somebody. It doesn't feel safe actually to talk about wanting children anymore. We can unconsciously tell ourselves that it's not safe to bring a baby into the world. And it's not until you think about the power of these words that you can think, goodness me. And I think I did that for myself. in my first marriage, potentially. I decided maybe that it wasn't safe to have a child in that relationship. So, but none of that was conscious. So we these things are unconscious, but they're communicated on an energetic level to make it become our reality. So I've gone a bit off topic.
No. I was just trying to understand how people can, you know, as you said, you could be in a bad situation, you're having a row, and words are being thrown at you that reinforces
Yes.
something into you, but subconsciously you twist that and you make it kind of like a global statement for yourself. In that instance, you were talking about, well, a row about when we can have children could suddenly kind of overflow into it's not safe to have children in your own head. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and Karen, I noticed that sometimes you do soul planning as well.
Yep.
Okay. Is that something that's wrapped up in a lot of energy as well, trying to work out soul planning for people?
Yes. So a soul plan reading works on the name that you chose to have in this lifetime. So the idea is that before you come into this life, you decide what energies you want to bring with you, and you decide what name you want, and you transmit that to your parents.
Oh, goodness.
So,
Okay. So all of those hours we spend looking at baby names and baby books, really not
no,
redundant.
it wasn't your choice.
It wasn't our choice after all. Okay.
Yeah, they chose it. Same, you know, we chose our own names. So the energies of the names are converted using a form of numerology, and we get symbols, we get numbers that associate with those energies, and comes up with a Star of David with the numbers and the symbols, and we can get an idea of the challenges that you chose to experience in this lifetime, the talents you brought with you to overcome those challenges, and the goals you wish to achieve, and then what your soul destiny, so the energies of your soul destiny.
Okay, I think soul plan reading is very big in some countries. You know, I believe that it's something that ordinarily sometimes can get done for children almost as soon as they're born, and that becomes almost a guide to the way that life will go.
Yes, yeah. Blue says it's very popular in Japan for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, all over the world, people are using soul plan. It's amazing.
And what about Chai Kung? Is it Shibashi? Is that how you say it? Qigong.
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 Qigong. Shibashi is a form of Qigong. So that's a way of working with the energy. So working with the Qi energy through a series of movements that move the energy through your body. So similar to yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, lots of forms of moving, physical movements to create the energy flow through your body. So this complements any other kind of therapy you may choose to do.
Right. And as people start to become aware of their own energy selves, their own energy, and they reach out and seek help in understanding what they can do with it, how do you help them kind of, you know, manipulate that energy for good, for their own good? And also maybe some people might want to be able to pass their energy on to other people.
What do you mean by passing energy on to others? As in a healing way?
As in a healing way, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So once you have a clear energy field, I will teach people how to keep it clear, so that and that would be using a combination of something like Qigong, yoga, anything that physically helps shift the energy, and then using meditation and the power of intention to shift any other blocks in your energy field. And then you can state or create energetic boundaries or shields. Some people call it protection. I prefer not to use the word protection because that implies that you need protection.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore that's you don't really want that energy that you need protecting. But when you're standing fully in your power as this, I am fully in my power. I'm the sovereign being. Sovereign is a great word for helping you, I suppose, take responsibility for your life, but also taking your power back. No one has the right to do X, Y, and Z to you without my express permission. So when you surround yourself with the energy that this is my human vessel, this is my life, this is my world, I will not allow anything to come into my field that intends harm.
Okay, so with some training, people can make those choices.
Yes.
And be very aware that they have the power to make those choices.
We absolutely have the power to do that. Yeah. And it's very important that in these times that we take our power and say that this is my stop. You know, if you intend me harm, you're not coming anywhere near me, even if it's, you know, psychic manipulation or whatever, or bullying, energetic game playing. That's not happening anymore. I'm not having any of it. Stay out there.
Stay out there. And are there words that people can use to form these contracts with themselves?
Yes, yeah. Basically, you need to use your own words. So words that feel true for you. So it's no good me telling you what words to use, because those would be my words.
Okay. And Karen, do you think that we can alter or change our future by being able to harness our energies?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Would you have any examples of something like that for us?
The ability to focus our energies raises our vibration, and it makes us less susceptible to illness, to disease, to interference from others. It also helps us focus on what we came here to do, what we wanted. You know, you talked about soul plan, and we chose the energies that we wanted to experience for our destiny. When you're more in line with your own energies, you just know what you're here to do, what you want to achieve.
Yeah. There are some people that would say all this energy healing is kind of like a placebo effect. And just because we feel that somebody else is guiding us, that in itself is enough. But I'm strongly getting the feeling that that's not the case at all, that energy healing or energy channeling is not a placebo effect. There does seem to be some evidence and some trials that have been done that, you know, that would waylay those kind of thoughts. And I believe that these days, even the National Health Service is starting to reach out to energy healers, spiritual healers as well, to complement mainstream counselling, and indeed sometimes complement medication for physical illnesses.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, I would caution against the idea of people feeling that they can channel other energies, because you need to be very sure of your own boundaries before you connect with other energies and take guidance from elsewhere. It's my teaching, my work is very much about helping people to understand their own truth and not follow other external guidance. Don't give your power to anybody else.
Right. So when you're working with other therapists or people who do this, I believe you give them guidance as well, don't you? Because it must be quite overwhelming for somebody who does this day in and day out, or maybe a couple of times a week, to protect themselves.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what my work is about, really.
Okay.
So the majority of people who come to me are already therapists, healers, counsellors, and they're aware that it's easy for us to let our boundaries slip and to let energies in, that when a client maybe offloads, gets upset or something, if we're not careful, we can end up taking that energy on, and instead of releasing it off to the universe where it can be transmuted or whatever. So my work is very much about this, helping people to clear themselves and to remind them, and to, if a therapist gets in this stuck situation and they need a bit of help, then they give me a call and I'll give them I'm calling it a spiritual cleanse and an energy tune-up. So then that's something I'm offering monthly to people.
And what would that look like for them, Karen? What kind of external energies would they have brought into themselves by listening to everybody else's problems, and how might that manifest itself in them? Like, does it present physically, they start to become depressed or ill, or does it just take their character down, push them down so they're not feeling happy?
It can do all of that, any of that. It depends. We all have areas of vulnerability. And that's where any sort of lower vibrational energy will find our place of weakness or vulnerability and work on that. So
can dark energies slip in, Karen, if you know what I mean?
Yes.
They can. Okay.
Yeah. That's why we need to be very mindful, and it's not, energy work is not a placebo. It's you need to be wise and mindful about what you're connecting with.
Are you prepared to say in what way? Is there, just for people listening in, what do you mean by that?
Well, when you were referring to energy healing in hospitals, that's really, really good news. So there are hospitals are allowing or inviting Reiki healers in. So Reiki is a specific form of energy healing, which has been shown to really help people recovering from various illnesses, operations and stuff. Now, one of the key things is when we become unconscious, so say we're having a general anaesthetic, we become unconscious, and any protective boundaries we may have around our energy can slip because we are unconscious. And that's where you can get darker energies that are lost around hospitals. So say somebody has not had what you could call a good death. It may be that parts of their soul are looking for a host, looking for a home. And they can attach themselves to people while they're unconscious.
That's very, very frightening.
Yeah.
To think, I hope it doesn't happen very often. But I guess there's no way to know that. But I'm thinking that, this kind of stuff would then present itself when somebody is getting better again, and they realize that physically they're well and everything, but they're still feeling a little bit out of sorts.
Yeah. So that's precisely when they're aware that something's not quite right, and they've had all the medical procedures, so it must be something different. As long as they've been checked out fully by the medical professionals, then you can look at spiritual, energetic issues and have a good cleanse, a good clear out.
A good clear out. And Karen, are there any medications that can enhance the experience of energy healing?
To be honest, I don't have any experience
sorry.
of. Sorry?
I was just going to say, sorry for stuttering there. I was just making clear I didn't mean for people to take drugs like any form of social or recreation drugs to enhance the energy experience. I was just wondering if...
Oh.
Yeah.
I have no experience of medication in conjunction with energy healing.
What about senses or smells like incense?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. So it's multi-sensory energy healing. So all of your senses are involved. I use sound, I use incense, crystals. I use crystals quite a lot.
Okay, what do you do with them, Karen? What do you do with sound? When you say you use sound, do you mean that you play music for somebody, or?
I use some sounds in the background of meditations.
Okay.
And so the meditations that are connected with the sanctuary that I'm creating in Spain, I'm using, so say I'm using a fire meditation, then I'll use the sounds of a fire at certain points in the background, or if it's a wind meditation using the breeze, using air, then I'll bring sounds in at appropriate points. And instruments, all sorts of instruments. I've just been given this beautiful American flute, which I think you've seen, and I'm looking forward to learn how to play that because it's attuned to the vibration of the earth.
Okay, you mentioned there something about Spain. What's happening in Spain? Tell us.
In Spain, my partner and I are creating a place called Sanctuary for the Soul in Bernadette, which is in Catalonia. And there's some very powerful energy there. And the idea is that it's off-grid, so meaning we're not connected to main services at all. It's an almond farm, it's got olives, and the idea is that you can come and experience life fully connected with nature in all its glory and experience the healing energies and learn to manage your own energy in a beautiful, warm place.
Yes, it would. It does sound idealistic. So it's kind of a place where people can really come to connect with their energies, maybe learn more about it and learn how to develop their energies.
Yes.
In a very beautiful setting. So are you setting up for that at some point in the future? Is this a new project?
Yeah, work is going ahead now on landscaping the key area of the sanctuary. We're still in the pipeline is working out the composting loos, showers, because everything is literally off grid. You're not talking about a 5-star experience. This is connecting purely with nature.
Okay. Do you find that there are more men or more women in tune with their energies, Karen?
I would say it's maybe 2/3 women, 1/3 men, but the men are connecting in a different way. So the experience I'm having in Spain is that the men are more connected to the energy of the land, as in working on practical things. So building, creating structures, working with the trees, and the women are working more with the energy of place and space. But that's a huge generalization, and that's just my immediate experience. But it's very, 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 very powerful when you get away from life in a city, life where everything is on tap, shall we say.
And go to, sorry, what did you say the name of your sanctuary was again?
It's the Sanctuary for the Soul.
the Sanctuary for the Soul in Spain.
Yeah.
Karen, whilst people are there, I'm assuming that you will run courses or have group meetings to encourage everybody to become more confident in their skills.
Yes. My thinking is that, but it will be combined with actually working on the farm. So it may be that I work one-to-one with somebody whilst we're picking the almonds or dehusking them, and so you're connecting with the natural process and also
Very
talking about the
holistic.
emotional experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And in general, have you ever found that dealing with energies and other people's energies, because you cannot know where that energy is going to go once people bring it into your room, can it ever be dangerous for the clients, or dangerous for you as a therapist,
Yeah.
these energies that people have?
You have to be you have to know, you have to make sure that you send any energies that are not helpful, send them to the light or send them to source or into the ground. You definitely do not clear energies and just leave them lying around in space, because they'll find someone else to feed
We don't
on.
want that, do you?
No. No. So
Mhm. And so you kind of moved into this path about 8 years ago, and whilst doing that, during that transition, and all the stuff that you've learned over the last 8 years with your training, Karen. Sorry, just before I move on there, did you say there was a specific organisation that you can get registered with to show that you're not just somebody that's not qualified to do this? Because I'd imagine you would need to be qualified.
yes. Yeah. So I'm a member of the Complementary Medical Association, and when you belong to associations such as this, you have to demonstrate your competence, and you have to prove that you have qualifications. So the Holistic Healing College in London is one of their approved training providers. So I know that any qualifications I gain through the college are considered acceptable in the field. Does that make sense?
It does. And what would be an example of mismanaging these, if I can use the word, powers that you've got? If you're dealing with somebody else's energy,
Yeah.
and you're going to show them how to direct that energy, but can you influence them in a negative way?
There are people who can.
Right.
I mean, there are all. You can look at it with hypnosis, can't you? You have these stage shows where people are hypnotized and made to do something that they wouldn't necessarily do. The same happens in any field, really. To be honest, therapists can misuse their energy, misuse their power.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to. I would stress to anybody exploring therapies to trust your intuition. If
Mm-hmm.
when working, in a session, when deciding on which therapist to choose, trust your gut instinct. Always trust your gut.
So if you're not feeling happy with either your therapist or anybody, just trust that gut instinct, because that is your own
Absolutely.
energy guiding you away from danger.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. It's your intuition telling you there's something wrong. So, yeah, we have to just be mindful of somebody who's persuading you to do something. Don't. If it doesn't feel right to you, don't do it.
Do you think that some people might have a non-realistic understanding of what energy healing is all about?
Yes. So, yeah, I've had experiences where people want me to just do stuff to them to make them better. And my response is, yeah, I could remove this energy, but it will just come back unless you take ownership of it and take control of your own energy, take responsibility for your own energy.
Yeah.
And you're in control of your own energy. I can't do something to you, even with your permission, because it's not you stepping into your own power.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I'm being clear there. It's certainly the energies now are that it's time for us all to take responsibility for our lives, to take responsibility for our health and well-being,
Mm-hmm.
and to fully step into that, and not give our power away to others who say they are just do this and do this and do this, and then I'll give you the most wonderful life ever. It's unless it's you choosing to do it from the bottom of your heart.
So it has to be with pure intent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Karen, can parents introduce energy healing to children? And if so, is there a point where you wouldn't recommend it, or different age groups that you wouldn't recommend it for? And how would parents go about talking to children about perhaps paying attention to the good energy?
Are you meaning for parents to teach their children to safeguard their own energy?
Yes.
Okay, so there are plenty of resources out there that where that parents can find to help children understand what's going on with their energy. The children coming in nowadays are possibly more spiritually aware than their parents.
Oh, right.
And
okay. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so they may already have an innate understanding of how to manage their energy.
Yeah, because like as you said, in Japan and that, people grow up with this from when they're young, they understand it. But in the UK and Ireland, for example, this is quite a foreign subject to people.
Yeah.
Because it does transcend all religions, doesn't it? It's not, your religion has nothing to do with this, although some religions can give you a deeper understanding.
They can do, but it's nothing to do with any particular religion, any deity as such. This is about you connecting to your own energy and your own sense of the universe.
And your own sense of the universe, whatever you perceive that to be.
Yeah. But the children, the children coming in now are very aware. So there's a fellow healer I work with, Deborah Kilby, who specialises in working with babies in spirit and helping their parents prepare. So there are lots of people with specialisms supporting the children nowadays.
I had actually never heard of that. I didn't either. When I asked the question, I fully expected you to say that it's not something that's really for children, but I've absolutely been proved wrong.
But if you think about it, they when they're born, they haven't had the experience that we will have had of being told, "Oh, that's a load of rubbish, poo-poo." Don't believe any of that rubbish. They're coming through purely experiencing the energies and responding on an intuitive level to everything.
Okay. That's really, really interesting to know. And Karen, if people wanted to talk to you more about any aspect of what you've talked about today, how can they do that? How can they start to reach out and make contact with you? I know we will have your email address and contact details on the men's radio station. But do you yourself have a website, or could you direct people to some self-help?
So I have a website, which is www.karengoodson.com. I have a Facebook page, which is Sanctuary for the Soul. And I'm on Instagram, I think, as Aquarian Therapies, but it will be on your website, won't it?
It will be on we'll have a link to you as well from the counsellorsnow.com website, where people can book an online session with Karen one-to-one in a very, very safe and secure place. And Karen, just very, very quickly, because we're running out of seconds here, what kind of price range will people expect to pay? Just very, very quickly.
85 an hour for one-to-one energy healing. If you want membership of the sanctuary and have one meditation a month, it's £27 a month.
Sorry, Karen, we have to end there. But thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to having you on the show again.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.